Hey guys, how you all doing? It's Chalodra here again, back with another video from BHM at GCSE Chem, and today we're going to be doing the final section of chapter 3, which is C3.12 Applications of Nanoparticles. So that's what section C3.12 is called. And the thing is, obviously today was A-level results day, a very important day for many students across the country. It was obviously very, very important, and it was really sad to hear that 40% of the grades were downgraded. 40% of the center assessed, 40% of the teachers' predictions were actually downgraded, or around 40%. I think it was 39.2% or something, and it's really not really nice to know that, because year 13 students have worked so hard for their A-levels, for the past 2 years, and for them to, many of those students to, have lower grades than what they were predicted from teachers. It's very heartbreaking, and I've been looking at many stories today, from different students, oh, I've not got a place on my chosen uni now because of all this system. And I know it's not a really good system, but I think it's a really, it's not a really good system, to be honest. I think it could be much better. But it's obviously very difficult when you're not doing exams anyway. When exams are cancelled, the whole COVID thing has made everything more difficult. And unfortunately, it's going to be a similar thing applied next year. Next week for the GCSE results as well. They're saying that it'll be the same. Maybe there might be a 30-40% downgrade there as well in the GCSE results. So it'll be interesting to actually see what people get. It was really sad to see people who were predicted A's in subjects, they actually got E's or C's. They got 2-3 grades lower, not even one. Some people got 1 grade lower, but then others were getting 2-3 grades lower, which is just not great. But I really hope those students who did get disadvantaged from this, I hope there surely is going to be a way out. And we're not sure of that exactly what that way out will be. They talked about maybe using mock grades. If they use evidence or mock grades, they can maybe use them if they are higher. But they've used this 3-lock system, which I'm not going to go into. You can watch the news, but you can watch the news and see about it if you want. But basically, I just wanted to talk about those students really, and genuinely, I didn't feel good for them. I felt sorry for those students, but. Today we're doing C3.12 Applications of Nanoparticles, as I said before, and this is the book I'm using, the AQA GCSE Chemistry Caboodle Revision Guide. Yeah, that's the one. And again, this is only for triple science students, so it's a triple science students only section. And So I think without further ado, let's begin. And also, I haven't been able to put the links to the website on my website for C3.2 till C3.12. I'll definitely try and make sure I do that today. I know I've been saying this for a long time, for the last 10 days, I think. But I just haven't been. I've been so busy. I'm happy that I'm being able to find time to actually make these videos as well. But as long as these videos are up on YouTube, that's the main thing. But I'll also try and put them on my website, all up to date by today, because obviously today's the last section of chapter 3, and tomorrow we're going to be moving on to chapter 4. But C3.12 Applications of Nanoparticles. Today's a very theory-based section. You just need to really learn this. I can't really help you with it much. You just need to know about it, but I'll read it through and explain where I can. But basically, if you're following the student book, it's pages 58 to 59. Now, nanoparticles at work. So a major new area of science in research is research into nanoparticles. Wait, let me say that again. A major new area of science is research into A major new area of science is research into nanoparticulate materials. Hopefully that makes sense. Major studies now all about in major area in science is about nanoparticles and nanoparticulate materials. And I finally got that. Finally got my message across. Now, in cosmetics, nanoparticles are used in deodorants and in face creams where they are absorbed deeper in the skin. So these nanoparticles are actually used in cosmetics. They're also used in deodorants and in face creams. And these, nanoparticles, they are absorbed deeper into the skin. So yeah, the nanoparticles used in sun creams are more effective at blocking the sun rays than normal sized particles. So yeah. If we use nanoparticles that are used in sun creams, they're more beneficial than using normal sized particles in sun creams, obviously, because they block the sun better to nanoparticles when compared to normal sized particles. So normally we use nanoparticles. Nanoparticles are normally used in sun creams as they are better at blocking the light from the sun. Blocking the sun's rays than normal sized particles. So hopefully that makes sense. Also, nanoparticles are used in medicine. Carbon nanocages are used to deliver drugs in the body. So they used to do nanoparticles are used in medicine, where carbon nanocages are used to deliver drugs in the body. And also in wound dressings, coatings of silver nanoparticles are used to help protect against bacteria. Also, they're used in wound dressings, and they're coated with silver nanoparticles to help protect against bacteria. So yeah. So again, these are just uses that you need to remember. I can't really do anything explain it. Really, you should really understand what this is. You need to learn some of these uses. They could ask you quickly, give 2 uses of nanoparticles and stuff. It's very important. Now, they're also used in computers, and so in computers, nanowires give vastly improved memory capacity and speeds. Yeah. And also, finally, we have the large surface area of nanoparticles makes them very useful, very efficient, very effective as catalysts. So that's very important as well. They use as effective. They can be used as makes them very effective catalysts because they have large surface area. It means they can be used as very effective catalysts. Large surface area means nanoparticles make nanoparticles very effective catalysts. And so yeah, here it just shows an image. So here kind of just shows an image of the nanocages, basically these diagrams. These 2 diagrams, and basically what it just says that nanocages can carry drugs inside them, and nanotubes can reinforce materials. So that's basically, we know we can use nanocages to actually, carbon nanocages can be used to deliver drugs in the body. That was one of the uses that we talked about. Now it says give 2 uses of nanotechnology. Here's the first question of 2 in this section. So obviously one use is obviously, the carbon nanocages can be used to deliver drugs in the body. They could also be used, for example, in, wound dressings. Basically, in wound dressings, they'd have silver nanoparticles to protect against bacteria. You could have also said they're used in computers, so the nanowires mean that there's a vastly important, and the nanowires basically give a vastly improved memory capacities and speeds. You could have said that as well. And I'll say another one, for example, it can be used in in cosmetics, like in deodorants, face creams, and also that they are absorbed deeper in the skin. So I've just said quite a few. You only needed to say 2, so I'll tell you all of them in the answers. I think we've been through all of them really. You can go back. You can obviously rewatch some of the video if you want to just take a note of all of them. But yeah, so the answers are basically, what we've already talked about. So it's used in cosmetics. They're used in cosmetics. You could have said to deliver drugs in the body. We said in wound dressings as well, and also in computers to give computers vastly improved memory capacity and speeds. And you could have also said, obviously, they're used as catalysts. They can be used as very effective catalysts, and they might ask you why they can be used as very effective catalysts, and it's due to their high surface area. Large surface area is why they can be used as, the large surface area of nanoparticles means they can be used as makes them very effective as catalysts. And by the way, sorry if you can hear any noise from the fan. I've just started the fan because it's really hot. So I can't, it's really hard to kind of do a video without fan. That's why I've just got it. So sorry if you can hear any noise there. And now we're looking at the possible risks. So there, these things, although these nanoparticles are so useful, they also do have their own risks, and these possible risks. So what risks these could cause? It's not definite, but these could cause these risks. So although many scientists think that there are few health risks, there are some worries about nanoparticles. So there are obviously some few health risks, you could say. Other scientists believe that a health hazard increases as the diameter of the particles decreases. So as the diameter of the nanoparticles decreases, the health hazard increases. That's what some scientists believe. Basically, other scientists believe. Breathing in tiny particles could cause damage in lungs. Nanoparticles could enter the bloodstream in this way, or from their use in cosmetics with unpredictable effects on our cells. Basically, they could, nanoparticles are really, really tiny particles, and breathing in these tiny particles, especially if you have, problems like asthma, like people who have asthma, breathing in these tiny particles could cause damage to lungs. And it's not only people with asthma; it could, like anybody, they could damage their lungs, if they breathe this in. Nanoparticles could enter the bloodstream, and and from their use in cosmetics, they can actually they could have very unpredictable effects on our cells, negative effects as well on our cells, so very bad side effects on our cells basically, and it could really affect the health of people using nanoparticles. Now, nanoparticles could enter the environment, for example, after washing clothing impregnated with silver nanoparticles. So if we wash clothing with silver nanoparticles, basically, these could basically enter the environment, and it could also affect aquatic life. We by accumulating in organisms over time. It's like a food chain. When there's some really bad thing in the food chain, it could just accumulate. It would accumulate throughout the food chain. If it's a really bad substance that's in the food chain, people would ingest it. Not people, but animals would ingest it. Basically, organisms, I should say, organisms would ingest it, because it could be people. They eat meat. The people could be in the food chain as well. But basically, organisms ingest it, and then they could it could really have a negative effect on them. So it's just like that. It's like a chain. It's like a chain. It's not a chain reaction, but it's like an ongoing accumulation of this really bad accumulating in organisms over time. These could be dangerous, these nanoparticles, which could accumulate in organisms over time. So more research, including long-term studies, needs to be done to find out about the effects of nanoparticles on health and the environment. So again, we know there are some uses of nanoparticles, and they have some really good uses, but they also have some risks, possible risks. So that's why we can't completely, we need to do some long-term studies so that we can I'm just stretching there, so that we can really find out more about the effects of nanoparticles on health and the environment. And from there on we'll be able to kind of weigh, put into comparison, like see, do the risks outweigh the benefits, or vice versa, like do the benefits outweigh the risks. From there we'll be able to kind of have a much better judgment in about nanoparticles, whether using them would be a good idea or not. So still long-term research, long-term studies need to be carried out, need to be done. So name two possible risks about using nanoparticles. So we've just talked through quite a few of them. Like, for example, they can enter the environment after maybe washing some clothing that is impregnated or that contains some silver nanoparticles. It could affect aquatic life, which could accumulate, by accumulating in organisms over time. You could say that. You could also say, obviously breathing in tiny particles like these, could damage the lungs. Also they could have unpredictable effects on our cells. That's the problem if they enter the bloodstream. And these are the kind of things you have to mention. So yeah, I'm not going to go through them in much better, in a huge explanation, because this is I'm not going to explain it much, because this is just something that you just need to learn. You need to learn a few of the uses and a few of the hazards. All the possible risks. I won't say try and learn all of them, but I don't think you need to learn all of them. Because they're definitely not going to ask you for all of them. Just learn, like, I think 3 from each list, 2 or 3 from each list, 2 or 3 uses, and then 2 or 3 possible risks, and you should be fine. You should be fine to answer a question on this section in the exam. It's not a very commonly asked question, actually. I think I've seen it quite a few times, but it's not that, it's not very it doesn't cost too many marks, and it's not that common, it's not very common. Basically, so let me just check this answer. I'm on the right track with what I said. So where is it? Yeah, so breathing in tiny particles could damage the lungs. I said that nanoparticles could have unpredictable effects or negative effects on our cells as well. Unpredictable effects, you could say. Nanoparticles could affect aquatic life by accumulating in organisms over time. So we've been through all of that, and hopefully that makes sense. Now the key points, just to finish off, are that new developments in nanoparticulate materials are very exciting and could improve many aspects of modern life. So new developments in nanoparticulate materials are very exciting and could improve many aspects of modern life. They could be very beneficial in modern life, basically. And the increased use of nanoparticles needs more research into possible issues that might arise in terms of health and the environment, because you have to consider the health of people and the environment as well, and that's why more research is required to see whether these are actually a really good solution in the long term, really good to use these nanoparticles in the long term or not. We have to see if that's a good idea or not. Basically that's the end of the section, guys. I really hope this video was helpful, and make sure to share, like and subscribe, and turn the notifications on if you haven't already, and so that you're notified and updated, about the new videos that I make. When I make new videos that you can watch. And I didn't tell you guys, but I'm back in the living room or lounge, as you probably can see. I'm not in my old room, not in my normal room. I don't know why I said old room, but basically in my other room that I was yesterday. But basically, I'll try and put the links to all the sections from C3.2 to C3.12. By today, I got to really try and do it today, because tomorrow we're going to be starting chapter 4. So and by the way, I forgot to actually say as well that now that we've finished chapter 3, I actually mentioned this 2 videos ago, I think, for people who were doing double science. But basically now on page 26, if you have this revision guide, you can basically go through and really answer all these questions in the chapter. All these questions basically on page 26. These are the summary questions, and it will really help you to really kind of know what you know in this chapter and what you need to go over. And again, if you're combined science students, only do all the questions there, apart from the one about nanoparticles, because obviously the last 2 sections, this one and C3.11, so C3.11 and C3.12, which we've been doing over the last 2 days, like today and yesterday, or yesterday and today, is only for triple science students only. So hopefully that makes sense, guys. See you tomorrow for chapter 4, which is all about calculations, actually. So that'll be an interesting one. I really like that. Was the chapter I really loved in GCSE. So it was one of my favorite chapters, and it should be really good. And I think I'll go now, guys. Thank you very much.